Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from Your Overwatch. I'm Eddie the Chump and today we've got a bit of a fun news roundup for you. We'll be covering a fantastic mecha hero concept created for an Overwatch art contest in Korea, some of the highlights of a just released Q&A about Baptiste that the devs posted to the forums, all the details from an interview that Joshua Noh gave to a German YouTuber called High Score Heroes that includes what's happening with Echo, overall hero design direction, and upcoming social features, Redshell's great video breaking down the new boot mechanics coming soon to live, and a hilarious burn from Dante and Monte Cristo onto Boston's Blase. We've got quite a lot to get through, so let's just crack on. Now, very recently today, Blizzard put this official tweet out saying Baptiste will be out on the 19th of March, which is next Tuesday. There is no mention of the PTR changes. They could feasibly wait on some of those, as the next stage of the Overwatch League doesn't begin until after the gap between stage 1 is completed, and those playoffs are next week, meaning it's at least 2 to 3 weeks if they wanted to make further adjustments before stage 2. Baptiste will be available in ranked a week later, which makes that the 26th. For you console players, you'll get your hands on him for the very first time on the 19th, so not long to wait now. I can't wait. Remember to check out yesterday's Baptiste counters video if you struggle against him when he goes live. Next up, we've got these amazing 3D renderings of the character D.Mon and her mech, the Beast, from South Korean artist Gong-il. These were submitted as part of an Overwatch art contest in South Korea, and the level of skill on display borders on the professional. D.Mon is a character who was very briefly spotted in D.Va's cinematic Shooting Star as one of her fellow Mecha Squad teammates, and ever since that was released, the community has been very interested in the possibility of another member of the Mecha Squad making it into the game. Devs at the time of the release of Shooting Star answered a lot of questions about that possibility from journalists and fans, and the response was a rock solid, very firm, maybe. I totally understand them not wanting to be pinned down. One of the pitfalls of game design is setting up false expectations and then not satisfying them, so it didn't surprise me at the time that they were so non-committal. What fan concept art like this does, if it's this high in quality, obviously, is really give shape to the desires and hopes of fans. In this particular case, I think D.Mon has been brought to life about as well as any fan could hope to have done. The mech itself certainly deserves its moniker of the Beast. It's absolutely huge. We don't have anything to judge the scale, obviously. D.Mon herself could be taller than D.Va, but assuming she's the same height, the Beast mech in-game would easily be the biggest hero, taller and wider than even Bob. Looking at the mech a bit closer, I love the logo on the nose on the front of the cabin. I also really like the animalistic hatch lock, which looks like an angry little face. There's a lot of little details which add to the personality of both the mech and D.Mon herself, so much so that I kind of feel like I know who she is and how she would act. D.Va's bravado and attitude comes from being a former pro gamer, but as the cinematic showed, there's a lot of added depth behind how people perceive her and who she really is. D.Mon looks quite neutral and welcoming outside of the mech in just her suit, but when she's in the cab, she looks like she really means business. Maybe the Beast isn't just a name for the mech, but a shared identity between machine and pilot. That says a lot about the skill of the artist being able to inject personality like that. While we're here, let's have some fun imagining what kit this mech would have. I don't see any weapons, not any that could be considered guns anyway. Instead, the sheer size of the mech and the huge hands it has suggests to me that it would be a tank melee character. There's no reason those giant hands couldn't carry weapons that weren't included in the concept, but the claw aspect of the logo makes me think that melee is the direction the artist was thinking about. Being so robust, I can see a high health pool and armor. Its design really makes me think of a Titanfall mech, and as such, its shielding ability could be similar to one from that game, whereby the mech raises a hand and collects incoming projectiles and utility in some sort of warp field, only to then fire it back at the enemies that originally tried to use it. Would a mech like this be the right choice for an ability to pick up an enemy and throw them? If you look at D.Mon resting in one of the hands, it's easily big enough. Imagine this thing taking point and grabbing Mei off the ground to throw her away. No stall for you, my point now. In a hero concept video before Baptiste came out, we made the argument for an ability like Fatal Bonds from Dota 2 to be put in the game, whereby you could mark multiple targets grouped together and they would share damage done to one of those targets by a percentage factor. We thought of that as a possible answer to goats, which was silly really, because the only answer to goats is more goats. But aside from that universal truth of the universe, a mech character would be a great fit for that kind of ability, especially one so tall with a great view of the battlefield. D.Va has a heads-up display in her cabin, mostly for defense matrix, but for also playing games when she's bored. D.Mon could have that marking mechanic be built into her mech's display. Plus, her Fatal Bonds ability makes sense for a character whose name is a play on the word demon, don't you think? For her ultimate, maybe some sort of huge ground pound or spinning lariat like Zangief from Street Fighter. Imagine those huge hands spinning around, knocking all your enemies away from an objective and doing damage. Or it could be more like an Ash and Bob dynamic, but in reverse, whereby D.Mon is the ult, not the mech. You pop ult, eject from the cabin, and go on a rampage as D.Mon while your mech protects you. She'd need to be better armed than Mini Diva, obviously, but it could be an interesting reversal of that archetype. At the end of the day, this is all just for fun, as D.Mon is still just a fan concept, albeit a very polished one. Hit me up in the comments with some of your best ideas for her kit. I'll look forward to reading them. Next up, we've got some interesting answers in that brand new Q&A that Blizzard just posted to the forums about Baptiste. So for the lore aspect, it turns out that initially Baptiste joined Talon from his Caribbean coalition because at the time, Talon's reputation, or at least the image they projected, was that of a by-the-book mercenary group doing officially sanctioned missions to make the world a better place. It was only after years of gradually increasingly morally ambiguous missions did Baptiste realize he had become something he did not like. It's also revealed that he had a good friendship with Sombra and that she keeps track on him and tries to help him out, even though Talon would much prefer him to be caught. Since leaving Talon, he's been working by himself to help people, and despite him not being the textbook recruiting material for Overwatch because of his past allegiance to Talon, their paths may cross in the future. He's certainly familiar with Mercy's humanitarian efforts in recent times, just for context. In a direct question about his name, one user notes Jeff Kaplan says the name one way and the character another. Which one is correct? To which Michael Chu just responds with, Baptiste pronounces the P. So there you go. It is in fact Baptiste, not Bartiste. Moving on, we've got some interesting tidbits of info from a set of interviews that Joshua Noh gave to German YouTuber High Score Heroes. The full versions are available on his channel, and I highly suggest you go and watch them. The links to them will be in the description. For those of you that don't know, Joshua Noh is involved directly with hero design and balancing. He's part of Jeff Goodman's team. I actually had the pleasure of meeting him back at BlizzCon last year. What Josh shared is interesting in not only what he directly said, but also in what he couldn't commit to, and I'll give you the cliff notes now. When asked about why another area healer was put in the game at a time when Goats is dominant, Joshua said that Baptiste, or Gadget as he's known internally, was prototyped way before Goats even existed, which when you think about it is a very long time ago now. He also acknowledged that obviously making any hero make Goats stronger is a concern for them, but that simple tuning would be possible with Baptiste to make sure that's not the case, and that in his mind at least, Baptiste works better with DPS anyway because of his ult amplification matrix. I can definitely see the thought process behind that. I'm just unsure if anything can dethrone Goats without other major changes. He did say though that going forward there is a concerted effort to work on higher skill heroes. I think you can see that from Hammond onwards this has already been the case. Ash and Baptiste are both more mechanically demanding than a lot of the cast. I expect that trend to continue. I know that the community feels like the game has needed more supports and tanks for a long time, this despite the fact that we're living in a meta where tanks and supports are the best heroes in the game, but if any of the larger structural changes that Jeff Kaplan has hinted at, like Lock 222 materialize, I can see that argument as sound. In that world, sure, more variety would definitely be welcome. One thing Joshua does say is that Echo, who was revealed in the Reunion McCree and Ash cinematic, will be a hero, but that she is unlikely to be Hero 31. In my mind, Echo has kind of been the successor to Doomfist in that she's captured our imaginations and we've known she's going to be a thing for a while, but how long we will have to wait for her might be longer than we expect, like Doomfist. She seems to be pretty important lore-wise, just like Doom, and events could pivot on those characters' actions in the game's background fiction. Doom is busy starting another war, Echo might come to stop it, that sort of thing. Now another thing that Joshua talks about that has an unclear or ambiguous timeline is what the devs are working on outside of new heroes. They're working on lots of new features which are large in scope and potential impact. He says the reason they haven't done a developer roadmap like other devs have done is because they don't want to set up expectations only to have the community deflated if they don't meet them. These features could be role queue, clans, new game modes, and other very important structural changes for how the game is played. Now first off, I'm really glad that they're working on big things, especially if that means changes to how ranked works, but I'll be honest, at this point I think it's fair to say community expectations have already not been met. Some of these features, like a replay system, the community feels should have been in place a long time ago, no matter how unfair the devs might think that is. Overwatch has its own engine. Features have to be built from the ground up, not modded from existing architecture, which takes much longer. In that light, I think any new info is much more welcome than silence in terms of what's coming next. Dev roadmaps have been subject to delays in other games anyway. Destiny 2 had them and they were received more warmly than the entire first year of the game, because at least there, the fans felt like they were part of the process of getting the game to a place that everyone wanted. That is to say, not trash and empty. To be fair to Blizzard, they have recently been a lot more open, and they do seem to be talking publicly and posting to the forums more regularly, so maybe that's enough. You guys will have to let me know how you feel about all this in the comment section down below. Are you excited to see more high skill heroes in the game? What feature in particular do you think the game really needs the most? Next up, we want to give a little shout out to Redshell, a top tier Lucio player, streamer and YouTuber who made a fantastic bit of video content about the effects of the new boot mechanics coming to Overwatch when the PTR patch does eventually go live. The link to this video will be in the description box below, so go check it out yourself. The most interesting parts for us are just how much the new boot displaces targets that are shooting in comparison to the current patch. D.Va and Orisa being the best examples. They go a long way, let's just say that. Also covered are how dive tank's mobility cooldowns are much more drastically affected by being booped away. D.Va's thruster movement is now much more impaired if she gets booped mid-flight, as is Winston's leap. Redshell obviously tests quite a lot of things, and the video is very thorough, so again, please do go check it out for yourself. Finally, we have an amusing Twitter exchange between Blase of Boston Uprising, Dante of Houston, and Monte Cristo. Dante starts off by saying, "Teslas are nice." Blase chimes in with, "I get it bro, you're rich," to which Dante replies, "No, I'm just not on Boston." Damn, wrecked. In case you didn't know, Boston are kind of infamous for paying lower salaries than a lot of the other league teams, perhaps in an effort to moneyball their way to success. So this burn cuts deep, I'm sure, for Blase. As if to rub salt into the wound, Monty chimes in with, "If he proves himself to be good, he probably won't be past this season either." Damn man, why you gotta do Blase like that? Monty is obviously referring to Gamsu and Striker in particular, who left the team after performing well but couldn't stand the atmosphere. I feel bad for Blase here. All he tried to do was meme Dante a little bit, ended up getting roasted from multiple angles. Live by the meme, die by the meme, I guess. I just wanted to bring it to your guys' attention because I thought it was funny. And that's about it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a rating. Also, let us know what you thought about any of the stories we covered today. We always enjoy reading your feedback. If you never want to miss another video of ours again, please click the bell icon next to the subscribe button on the channel to join the notification squad. You'll be in great company. And finally, please follow the Your Overwatch Twitter. It's where you can find updates about new videos and other cool stuff. I've been Eddie the Chump, and until next time.